Hello, y'all. So we got two subjects for one up in this one. So the first one is a bittersweet congratulations to none other than Blue Telusma, Afro Latina from. I think she's born here in the States, but her one of her parents is Cuban and the other one is Dominican. So that what makes her Afro Latina. We got to know her first on Here for the Food, at least the ones who watched that, because I see the viewership wasn't nowhere near the same as Hollywood Unlocked. Anytime they talk about something substantive and rich, that's always how it is. The views don't quite hit the same. Don't quite hit the same. Don't hit quite the same. But honey, I still watched it nonetheless. And I remember when it was Shantae, the very tall woman, brown skin, curly hair. She left early on because, the show got too sensual and she was the Christian of the show. She was the Michelle Williams of the group. But unlike Michelle, who stayed in Destiny Child and replaced some of the other girls, honey, she left. So it was just darn going Blue and darn going Melyssa with a rotating panel up until her mother, succumbed to cancer. My condolences to that, honey. Ooh, I don't. I wouldn't wish that on nobody, not even this demon for. I want her to go quickly. Like I don't want no prolonged death where it pulls me into the strain of, because it's like if she has to have cancer, then I'll be the one that have to take care of her evil ass. And it's like so I wouldn't even wish that on that evil bitch, honey. So yeah, cancer ain't no damn joke, honey. And it took Melyssa Ford's mother just early on this year. She ended up leaving Hollywood Unlocked temporarily, only to later on say she was leaving permanently. And then she canceled I'm Here for the Food. And then we seen right before that, during the last few episodes, Blue Telusma jumped ship because I guess she figured out that she wasn't going to get paid or whatnot. I'm not saying that this was the case, but she wasn't going to get paid. Also we in the midst of, the beginning stages of COVID. And it's like, well, I understand you going through the grieving process, but where her next check going to come from? Because she don't got video vits and residuals, and she ain't got the connection. She new to the scene. She's the authentic journalist, honey. So it's like I can understand Blue's dilemma for a situation, but we ain't never heard no more from Blue. And matter of fact, I never knew her full name throughout all of this, which I was wondering, like when people kept asking about what was her social media handle in the comment section, Melyssa Ford, who always responded to anybody else any other time. And we understand she was going through the grief process or whatever. But even before the grieving, it's like, why we don't know Blue's darn old name so we can at least follow her? You can't type it into Google because, honey, she's named after a color. So she ain't that popular where she's going to come up by name. She ain't Blue Ivy. So it's like, and even Blue Ivy is not going to immediately come up if you just type Blue by itself. So we didn't know what Blue name actually was until we seen her recently the other day on Hollywood Unlocked. She got introduced and she is now taking place of darn on Melyssa Spy. I was like, ooh, this is ironic. Which it wouldn't have been as ironic if they would have mentioned that she came from I'm Here from the Food and, they was introduced by way of Melyssa Ford. But they ain't made no mention of Melyssa at all. I was like, well, damn, that's sort of fucked up. I'm like, I thought y'all left on amicable terms. She came and gave her grand departure and everything else. And you go replace her with her co-host, and which wouldn't have been as awkward if, they would have made some sort of mention of her, but they ain't make no mention of her ass at all. And I was like, ooh, okay. Talking about they met by somebody else. I was like, really? Okay. But her first day went off without a hitch. I have not seen the other episodes just yet. I'm backed up on episodes. But I look forward to it, and I've just got mostly through watching Melyssa's very first introduction back where, Shantae, the tall blonde hair girl is finally back just for this episode. I don't know if she back for subsequent episodes or not. because she greeted her as the former co-hostess. She didn't welcome her back as a host again. Or, she might be, like I said, I ain't seen the last 15 minutes. They was reminiscing over their parents' death, because we found out that Shantae father passed literally a month before Melyssa's mother passed. Melissa's mother passed on May 19th, and Shantae, who was one of the 3 original hosts, her father passed from early onset dementia. Once again, I know about that all too well. My great grandmother died of, Alzheimer's in 2016. And she passed, we buried her on Election Day. She died on November the 2nd. So once again, my condolences to her, for I know that battle all too well. But, we dealt with my grandmother for up to 15 years. So we seen every stage with her, versus with Shantae. It seems like the dementia took her father rather quickly. They found out about it in February, and he died in April. So they only had 2 months from the time that they found out, versus we found out about my great grandmother and we seen her gradually decline. So we seen her from still somewhat normal to fully incompetent, but still able to walk around, to now losing mobility, losing her sight, and then the last thing to go was the hearing. And then she stopped eating, and that's how she ended up, because she's diabetic, and when she stopped eating and responding to how to eat, that's what took her out ultimately. So definitely felt sad hearing that. And then, I had to get stuff done throughout the day, so that's why I was like, oh, Lord, I'm already in a fucked up mood with this thing. I had to take this heifer to pay a part on her light bill. Yeah, I done told y'all this heifer done let the shit get behind like $600 some damn dollars. Rent behind $1,600. Now, our rent's only $450 a month. And y'all wonder why I stay evil with her. Oof. That's why I'm trying to get out of here. Because it looks like she ain't, the money goes towards that booger sugar other than other stuff. I wish she'd get taken out somehow, some way. You got darn on good parents like Melyssa Ford's parents and Shantae's parents darn on dying. And then you leave the old evil ones here for us. So it's like the ones that could go, They old ass stay around, darn gonna abuse drugs, mismanage their money, and darn gonna drive us to darn gonna, hair loss by way of stress. And then I got a report on darn gonna actual good, decent parents actually passing away. I swear, I ain't even gonna touch that subject of God. They both of them still Christian and religious. I don't see how. I mean, if this don't challenge your faith, I don't know what is. Both y'all parents sounded like darn on decent people. They darn gonna die of this disease. And meanwhile, you got evil motherfuckers still roaming around. Okay. But that's that on them. But yeah, what are y'all thoughts on the Blue Telusma situation? Are y'all watching Hollywood Unlocked or Here for the Food? What are y'all thoughts on the ironic situation that, Blue wasn't mentioned as being a former host on, I'm Here for the Food with Melyssa. Yet she's now sitting in place of Melyssa Ford on Hollywood Unlocked. Okay, y'all, I had to get me something to drink real quick before we get into this next subject, honey. So the next subject is, honey, cross species versus darn on confused species, honey. We got pit rooster Tasha K. And the reason why I call her a pit rooster is because she looked like just that, a combination of a darn gone pit bull and a motherfucking rooster, honey. She don't know whether she want to peck your ass or the darn gonna bite your ass, honey. She don't know whether to run up to you like a darn gone dog or darn gone frolic at you like a motherfucking wild bird, honey. Because that's what we got from her. We got darn gone the pit rooster at its most hype during this interview with darn gone Jaguar Wright. So she darn on decided to do an interview with Jaguar Wright, despite the fact that her protege, honey, that she's always bragging about, that old fine teddy bear looking darn on cute and cuddly darn on Stormy Road, baby. She always bragging, but I was like, well, damn, he done did like 6 interviews with her. What you gonna ask her at this point that he ain't got from her? It's like, honey, she been over there on Storm's channel about every other video, just darn on spilling 70% tea. 70% tea, 30% bullshit. Cause you know, the moment that she talked about Beyonce lying about her age, I was like, oh girl, bye. It's like Beyonce is worth $500 million. It is so many documented evidence of Beyonce winning awards and shit when she was 6 years old. You telling me that they was darn on lying about her age way back then? Way back before they even knew that she was going to become a darn on our modern day legendary singer. Really? She was on Star Search at 11 years old in 11 or 12 in 1992. She born in 1981, so that depending on the time of the year, she was 10 going on 11 or 11 already going on 12. And you darn gonna talk about she's about 4 or 5 years older than what she is? Honey, why the hell would she have to lie about being her age now? I mean, once again, 38 and 42 is in the damn same age bracket. Like, honey, it's not like you trying to be as drastic as some other folks trying to say that there's a 15-year or 10-year age difference. You saying that she lying about her age by 4 years? Girl, bye. She lost me when she said that bullshit. And then some other stuff wasn't darn gonna add it on right. So I take her with a grain of salt. Miss Dargon wannabe Jaguar look more like a hyena, honey. So Miss Dargon Hyena parading as a Jaguar had to darn get Tasha K together. Because, you know, Tasha K really damn tried it. Tasha K was going that darn Jaguar sideways on certain situations. And you know, Jaguar had to get her together, and I felt like Jaguar was in the right on getting her together, because Tasha K in that moment was effed up for what she did. Was darn it was something about on the lines of darn rape or something. And, you know, Jaguar got passionate about, you know, you put out there, and you shouldn't be hyping artists, and you are responsible for what you put out there as far as images. It don't matter if you ain't called to be a somebody. And then she mentioned how she looked up to Shaka Khan and Tina Turner. It's like nobody couldn't tell her that she couldn't look up to them just because they wasn't they wasn't, you know, like Disney stars. So I got where Jaguar Wright was coming from on that end. And then Tasha K wasn't all the way wrong, because it was like certain stuff like, you know, Hyena wannabe Jaguar trying to speak up on Summer Walker's pain and, you know, calling out her. And it's like, well, if you want somebody to respect your pain, how the hell you darn gonna calling out Summer Walker's situation? Isn't it her business to speak on her pain? So, you know, both of them had valid points. I will give darn going Pit Rooster that. She did darn gonna clock the hell out of darn gonna Hyena wannabe Jaguar when she said that in regards into the defense of Summer Walker. But then you lost all of us when you tried to go at her in response to that situation about role models and stuff. And then it turned even more dark when, you know, she mentioned about her child, you know, loss. She mentioned about suffering, you know, she been raped 10 times over the course of her lifetime by the age of 20. Gang raped twice. So we starting to see where the anger issues and the flip personalities could come from. Now, as somebody who has been there, not as far as the rape, but as far as the dissociation, I ain't never really touched on this. Matter of fact, I don't really feel too comfortable about going into this, but I have had a little touch of DID. And DID is completely different than bipolar disorder. It's completely different than schizophrenia. I had to pause for a moment because I was like, Ron, do you really want to go here with this tea? But it's like to come off, empathetic and to show that I can actually fully empathize with this. I'm actually going to reveal this. And like I said, I don't like talking about this because I was in a dark place with everything that's gone on in my life too, to the point where I split. Like I'm one of the rare cases because, with dissociative identity disorder, it usually happens in the form of rape. It usually that what really triggers dissociative identity disorder, or near death like experiences. And granted that I've had near death experiences in my life. I've nearly been struck by lightning. I've been shot at. The list just goes on and on and on. My throat closed up on me at one point in time because my mother thought I was just lying to get out of school. I had a whole cyst pus come up on my throat, and it took my great grandmother's nurse to rush me to the hospital as my throat was closing in, and they had to perform emergency surgery and and it wasn't until they darn gonna cut my mouth open. Like, my mother didn't believe that I was nearly died until after they checked me in, and until they started literally performing surgery and started draining the pus off. It was that moment that she darn gonna knew I was telling the truth. So leave it up to her, I would have darn gonna fell dead some damn well. Because I was darn gonna not want to go to the hospital. I'm thinking that it would go down in a few days. And meanwhile, it was getting bigger and bigger to the point where it's closing up my airway. And then I darn gonna got a light cold, and then I was like, okay, now my breathing is cut off. So I done faced so many near-death experiences, and like I said, my great grandmother was more like my mother, honey. This bitch was an egg donor. But it was something completely different that caused me to darn on fragment. And I think I had a total of 3 or 4 different personalities. 3 that was confirmed for sure. And it took me some steps to go into integration, which is where all the parts come together, and you remember you then come to remember all the memories of the different personalities and whatnot. More famously noted for shows that's touched on this subject was my soap opera One Life to Live, where you had Vicky, whose alters was Nikki, Jean Randolph. She had another one that was a male. She had 4 or 5, but the main ones was Jean Randolph was the gatekeeper, who, oversees all the different personalities, who's the main protector of, the host, which is the main person's memory and all of that. I mean, it's a very complex disorder where, that's a video within itself, which I don't think y'all really want to hear from me, and I don't feel comfortable going into that. But when she mentioned about the DID, I really felt for her. But then I was questioning, did she really have DID? Because I was like, okay, was she diagnosed? I think she said she was diagnosed with DID, but then I was questioning it because I was like, she said she loses time and all of that, and that would be consistent of when the host would take over and you don't have no memory and you have not integrated. But what I have not heard from her is she never said that she went through the integration process. So I'm wondering, do she take medication to prevent the other hosts from coming out? Because it seemed like she still has the flippant darn on personalities, which we've seen very much throughout this whole interview. But what I did not see was her zoning out. I did not see her zone into a completely different person. I seen that she was very much coherent all throughout, and she remembers every bit. So that's not consistent with somebody who has DID disorder. From what I was seeing of Jaguar, unless she has integrated and she still suffers from anger, I'm assuming she has borderline personality disorder. That's what I'm getting. Once again, I'm not no licensed psychiatrist, so my guess is just that I'm not making a diagnosis over the internet. But from what I was seeing of her, she was exemplifying more so borderline personality disorder. I wasn't seeing dissociative identity disorder in that regards. And like I said, because with dissociative identity disorder is when you have completely different alters. Not to be confused with different personality traits. If you have different personality traits and you overall are still of your mind and you can remember every single thing, you might have blackouts, but that's not completely, how can I say it? You might not remember certain things that you have done, just like with people with bipolar disorder. You speak with people who suffer from bipolar disorder, and they might not remember what you said because they was in a zoned out space. I mean, they was zoned out, but they wasn't zoned out into a completely different alter. So that's different if you are losing space because you're in a different personality switch, versus you are a completely different entity, person altogether. You are now a different alter. You are now trapped in your mind, and one of the other fragments have now came forth and took host of your body. So, yeah, from what I'm gathering, she suffers from borderline personality disorder because I did not hear her elaborate on being on any type of medication. I didn't hear her really talk about still being in intensive therapy for that or seeking integration or have gone through integration. So, yeah, I would love for somebody to interview Jaguar who has more experience in that arena, of psychiatry, and, touch on that right there. That would really answer some questions. Pit Rooster is not the one qualified to speak on those subjects. The fact that she glossed over that shows that she don't even have the mindset to even touch on that subject. You don't necessarily have to be a psychiatrist to ask her those, pointed questions. You can be somebody who can relate to it, or somebody who is just acquisitive enough to Google search and know. Because, Tasha K has a whole team over there. So she should have had somebody on the darn on Google in the background asking about, dissociative identity disorder and whatnot. But she let that darn on completely slide because she was trying to be on the mess. And then the mess came and backfired because, the common sense darn on Jaguar eventually came in, because at first, Jaguar was looking like a wild darn on hyena throughout the whole motherfucking interview. She was crazy, up and down, flip it, honey. And then by the end of it, honey, darn on Jaguar did a 180 flip on us and darn on had us sympathizing for her. She was making a lot of sense towards the end. She was coming off as a concerned, seasoned artist who was concerned about the imagery that she puts out there and about what other artists are that puts out there. She ends up even darn going as far as playing the nice route with Tasha K. Because in that moment, she would have been completely justified in cussing Tasha K completely the fuck out, which she almost did. She did darn on chastise her and said, you got one more time and I'm going to jump my ass up off here. And then she kindly darn on, started apologizing. I was like, bitch, why the hell you apologizing to Tasha K? Of all things, that bitch owe you a damn apology. And was talking about how she's brilliant and all of that, this, that, and the third. I was like, oh, okay. Girl, you really doing the most, honey. You really doing the most. But like I said, that's where that flippant personality came in. At the same time, Jaguar was in complete control of all her senses throughout this whole interview. So when we seen that 180 shift, that wasn't her in a different altered form. This was her the whole time, which makes me want to say, okay, did she darn gonna integrate and she still has a wild personality flip, or do she really suffers from borderline personality disorder? And then she talked about, people stalking her and, that's why they moved from city to city. And, Tasha K was talking about, well, if you ain't afraid to damn die, why don't you just stay in one city? And then she was like, well, Jaguar's like, bitch, I still like to live. It's like, honey, if it happens, it happens. But hell, I ain't gonna be content with just staying somewhere. It was like, well, girl, it might behoove you not to be talking so much shit on people unless you're ready to really go to the FBI. And she said she working with the FBI now. And that Clyde Davis, of all people, is the one that's trying to take her out. Because of the Whitney Houston situation. Amongst other things. Talking about Clyde Davis is the only one that can put a $500,000 hit on her head. I was like, well, honey, you must have forgot about darn P. Diddy, honey. The way you darn spoke about P. Diddy like a dirty dog. And he's worth damn near $1 billion himself. You don't think darn P. Diddy might not have put out the damn hit? Honey, you done pissed off several darn big name people. Hell, and then you ain't think Hove might not have put out the hit on your ass trying to talk shit about her wife? About his wife? Damn, Hove is worth $1 billion on his own. It's like, hell, you done pissed off quite a few couple billionaires, honey. And you talking about Clyde Davis. Child boo. I don't wish no ill harm to her, but maybe this will darn behoove her to finally darn peace be still. Peace be still and darn be quiet. But you know that'd be too much like right. She's still gonna be out here acting the plum tea darn motherfucking fool. And it is what it is. But it was nice to see that it actually ended on a good sound note. And then I seen the recent video last night, right before I tuned in to Jasmine's show. I was just doing my DoorDash late at night to get away from this demon that I live with. And looking at some apartments late at night, scouting around to say, okay, this week I want to call this landlord to see what I need to do to get into one of these. It's a slumlord area, but honey, it'll do to get away from it. It don't got no central air, but hell, it's about to be cold anyway. It got darn central heating, that'll do. I get me an AC unit for the time being. Anything to get away from this one. But speaking of getting away from people, during the Tasha K interview, where she was calling herself somewhat backpedaling because she said, if I offended you. I was like, girl, you could have kept that darn fake ass motherfucking apology, bitch. But now they saying Storm and Tasha done finally fell out. Now, I ain't heard really definitively from darn cute, cuddly, darn teddy bear looking darn Storm just yet. But everybody else said that he had to remove her from the chat sometime last week because she was cutting up so bad. And they ain't really spoke like that no more. And he ain't denied nothing just yet. Now, she mentioned darn Storm's name in passing at the beginning of the video, talking about she might need to do an interview with Storm. Everybody got an interview talking about her newfound, teammates or whatnot. Child, if it's true, it wouldn't surprise me. That darn Tasha don't keep no darn friends for too long, honey. Just a darn funky ass mess. A pit rooster ass mess. But anyways, what are y'all thoughts on that? Do y'all think Tasha and Storm have finally severed ties? And if so, what are y'all thoughts on that, honey? I say darn Storm, you got out of it what you needed to. You done got your 100,000 subscribers. You now self-sufficient on your own. Honey, go ahead and make your darn coins. So Tasha K will forever be the one that paved the way. She did what she did, and she got what she got out of you as well. So it's not like you was just the only one using her. Honey, y'all both used each other. A friendship gone separate because of her darn narcissism. It is what it is. That's what I say to that. But what do y'all say to that mess? Also to the Jaguar Wright and Tasha K situation with the back and forth banter. To my people, do I got any psychiatrists that watch me? Or if not, give y'all general thoughts on her talking about the DID, because that was the most interesting thing that really struck me out that whole interview is when she mentioned about the DID. Because like I said, as somebody who has dealt with the DID, it's like that was a very interesting one right there to find out about. But like I said, it was so many stuff that could have been spoken upon on that one, such as her integration process, or if there is an integration. and or we could have had a revelation that she don't have DID, that she really has borderline personality disorder, where she officially diagnosed by a psychiatrist as having DID. Did they do us? Has they detained her and put her under hypnosis and seen the converse with the other alters? Like, it's so many questions in regards to that. Like, I really, you know what? Jaguar needs an interview. Matter of fact, have Jaguar come my way, baby. Honey, I'd love to have the conversation with Jaguar. If nobody's going to ask the darn pertinent questions, honey, DivaWuan to go ahead and ask the damn questions. Honey, Jaguar, I know I done talked some shit about you throughout this. Hell, I ain't did no more than what what you call so-called brilliant Tasha K does. So if you want to, honey, come down my way and read me, honey, and we can read each other and have a good conversation about this DID from one person to another who's actually dealt with it. So, hell, you was willing to go down to the Armand Wiggins damn show, honey. Come to my bald-headed damn show, honey. Come down to this flaming tranny show, honey. Shit. Y'all tell Jaguar, honey, DivaWuan wouldn't mind giving a sizzling interview. Now, granted, my setup is, she can read me for fifth on my jacked up setup money, because my shit don't look nothing like Tasha K nor Storm Monroe, but hell, it is what the fuck it is. Honey, the quality is clear. That's the only thing that matters. I have my girls JV and matter of fact, Cass. I hate to bring your ass into this, but honey, Cass, do you want to do the interview? Because you got a background in social work, honey. I was thinking, who the hell can do an interview on this? And I just forgot all about my good girl, Cass, the CashLife. Honey, she's a whole social worker out in these streets. So if I don't do the interview and, if they, if I end up doing the interview, they can help me out on the technical stuff with the Zoom and all of that. But if I had to let somebody, honey, I'll put CashLife as the one to do the interview on that. I know she's gonna be like, bitch, why you volunteering my services, honey? I know. That's just fucked up. I'm just throwing it out there, CashLife. But yeah, if anybody gonna do the interview, honey, let it be CashLife. Now, I would have said Cynthia G at first, but then I said, I don't think her branch of psychiatry, because, Cynthia G did study psychiatry, but, Cynthia G doesn't do interviews like that. I ain't seen Cynthia really do interviews like that. She really focuses on, black issues going on in the community, holding black men accountable for some of the bullshit that they do to keep us at a detriment in America with all this going on in these trying times. I mean, it's always been trying times for black folks, but it's been more trying as a lot lately. But yeah, I think her branch of psychiatry was more on the criminal justice side. Like, she said that she wanted to do criminal psychiatry. So I don't know if she would have touched on this with DID or whatnot. But honey, I'm definitely gonna throw in my girl Cass. The Cass might be able to do this one right here. Cass, what are your thoughts on interviewing Jaguar on this situation? I mean, granted, this is a serious subject. And like I said, as somebody who's been through that, I definitely know it. We got to laugh to keep from crying on painful subjects such as this, especially what caused her to fragment in the first place. So yeah, she has more of the personality where she could, gear that, subject in more of a serious professional manner. She has the skill and education to, ask more of the questions than what I'll be able to ask the questions from a place of experience. But, Cass will be able to ask the questions from a place of, from, personal experience, but she will be able to ask it from a place of educational experience. So she'll be able to ask more of the pertinent questions, in my humble opinion. But to everybody else, what are y'all thoughts on the Jaguar Wright situation, from the DID to the blow up between her and Tasha K to her in general? What are y'all thoughts? Y'all leave it down below. Also, give me y'all thoughts on the Blue Telusma situation and, Melyssa Ford. Leave it down below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see y'all soon with more videos. Mwah.